Hello everyone and welcome to SimpliCode's YouTube channel. Kaushal this side and I hope you guys are doing well. Today we are going to discuss selectors in jQuery. We'll go over some particular types of selectors in this video and cover the remaining ones in the following video. So before we begin, make sure that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel and press that bell icon to never miss any updates on programming videos. So without any further delay, let's get started. We are all aware of accessing an HTML element in JavaScript. We have three different methods for that. The getElement by ID, the getElement by class name method, and the getElements by tag name method. So these three methods we have been using for a long time. Apart from these three methods, we can also use query selectors for accessing CSS selectors, right? So let's do the same task using jQuery today. Now, selectors allow us to manipulate or access HTML elements as a group or single element in jQuery. The syntax for accessing any particular element is so simple that we don't have to remember all of it. Just go through it once and you might remember it for life. All we have to do is to use a $sign and pass the ID or class name with particular symbols to let the jQuery file know the type, and that's all. The question that arises here is how it is different from JavaScript. If we are doing the same thing in jQuery, then what is the real difference between these two? So guys, jQuery selectors are used to find or access HTML elements based on their name, ID, classes, types, attributes, values, and much more. In simple words, jQuery provides us the flexibility to access any element in different ways. jQuery selectors are based on CSS selectors and it contains some custom selectors as well. So let's start by going through the simple syntax and you guys will get an idea of what selectors are in jQuery. What we'll do is we'll create an HTML element with specific ID first and then we'll try to access that element. So what we'll do is we'll move to the body part and we'll write here div ID is equals to, let's say, div1. So we are creating a div tag. Now inside this what we'll do is we'll write some paragraphs. So we'll use the p tag for that. So we'll write here p. Let's say we are writing here this is paragraph 1. Let's add another paragraph here. What we'll do is we'll again use the p tag and we'll write here this is paragraph 2. Fine. So what we'll do next is we'll copy this whole div tag and we'll paste it again. Basically what we are doing is we are creating two div tags here. Fine, we'll write the ID as div2 and here we'll write this is paragraph 3 and this is paragraph 4, just for your convenience guys. Now what we'll do is we'll create a button and we'll call a function on clicking that button. So the same part with JavaScript as well. What we'll do here is we'll write here button and here we'll write on click. So after this we'll write, let's say we are creating a function named func1. This button click will call this function and let's say the button name is click me. Fine. What we did here was simple. We have used two div tags and 4 paragraph tags over here. Now we'll make some styling changes here in both the div tags so that they'll look different from each other. We have already added the style sheet here. We have the link as style sheet and the href is style.css. So this is a CSS file. We'll make some styling changes to our div tags from here. So before that, let's save this program once and check the output. So here are our paragraphs. We have paragraph 1, 2, 3 and 4. So all of these paragraphs are present inside two different div tags. We are not able to see those div tags, but we have used them here. So what we'll do is we'll make some styling changes to make them look different. So you can see the click me button is not working as of now. Now what we'll do next is we'll go to style.css and we'll start styling those div tags. We'll write here hash div1. So we'll style div1 first. We'll write here margin as auto. Let's say text align at the center. Border we are going to add. We'll write here border as 3 pixels black and dotted. Fine. Next up we'll write here font size as 50 pixels, let's say, and the background color is going to be let's say caddy blue. Fine. Next up, we'll write here height. So let's define the height of this div tag. We'll write here height as 300 pixels and width as 300 pixels. Fine. Now we have to write one more thing here. The position is going to be relative and save it. Here you can see we have a div tag over here. So you can see the font size is quite large. What we'll do is we'll reduce the font size here. Let's say the font size we are going to write here as 30 pixels. So now you can see it's working totally fine. We have two paragraphs inside a particular div tag. We have two paragraphs inside a container. What we'll do next is we'll copy this piece of code and we'll do the same thing for the second div tag, right? We'll write here div2, save it, and here you can see we have two div tags over here. Now what we'll do is we'll change the color of this div tag. Fine. Let's say the color of this div tag is yellow. Save it, and here you can see we have two div tags over here. Right here, margin top is 10 pixels. Fine, save it, and here you can see they are not touching each other now. Now we are done with styling our div tags according to our need. You can check it by going through the web page, and here you can see we have both our boxes present over here. So let's move on to the jQuery part now, and we'll try to make some changes in the styling of these div tags using jQuery selectors. So we'll move to a JavaScript file. First of all, we'll access both the div tags here. We'll try to make some changes in both the boxes using the element name. So we have to create a function named func1 here. So first of all, we'll do that. We'll write here function func1, and inside the body of this function, the next thing we have to do is to change the style of these div tags, right? So the jQuery syntax goes like this. We'll define the syntax first. So it goes like $, then we have the element name. So a $sign followed by an element name. Now the JavaScript alternative for this statement will be document dot get element by tag name, and then we'll write here the element name. Fine. So this is the alternative of this particular statement in JavaScript. You can check if it's right or not. So you can see here it's showing some error because we haven't written the original element name here. So it's totally fine. Now once we are done with this part, we have to mention here the action as well in the jQuery syntax. So the actions here may be predefined, or we can customize those functions as well. For now, we'll use the predefined actions. So let me tell you the syntax first. We'll write here action. So action is going to be a function which will perform certain tasks in the div tags. Fine. Now let's move on and write the actual code here. Now in this particular case, we are accessing the div tags here. So we want to make similar changes to both the div tags, right? What we can do is we'll write here $. Inside this, we'll write the element name inside double quotes, and after that we'll write the action name. So we'll write here .css, and inside CSS we'll write here background color, and after this we'll define the color here. So let's say the color is orange, let's say. So let's define them inside single inverted commas, and we are good to go. Now what we did here is we selected both the div tags. We have to put the element name inside the double quotes. Then we have the action as CSS that will allow us to make styling changes in the HTML elements. Then we have defined the style changes inside the brackets. Here what we are doing is we are changing the background color of both the div tags on the button click to orange. So let's save it, and what we'll do is we'll click on this click me button and see if it's working or not. So click on it, and you can see the color is orange for both the div tags. You can see it again. We'll refresh this page, click on this click me button, and you can see the color is orange now. Fine. So this is how we can access all the elements from an HTML file using the element name only. It is an alternative to get element by tag name. Fine. Now let's suppose we want to make changes to a particular paragraph. Let's say paragraph 1 only. In JavaScript, we can do it with the help of document.getElementById method. In jQuery, we can also use the ID attribute to do so. So let's suppose we want to change the font style of paragraph 1 only. We want to change it to italic. So we'll do it with the help of jQuery. So what we have to do is we have to provide the paragraph tag and ID first. So we'll move to a HTML file. Here is the HTML file and this is the paragraph 1. We'll use here ID as P1 for this paragraph. Save it now. And now what we'll do is we'll comment this piece of code and we'll write here again $. So we are using the ID attribute, so we have to use hash here. We'll write here p1.css is the action name, and inside this we'll write font style, and the font style is going to be italic. Fine. So we have to close this bracket over here and we have to remove this bracket from here. Fine. The thing to notice here is we have to include the hash symbol before the ID attribute while accessing any particular ID. Save it, go to the browser and click on the button over here, and you can see the font style of the paragraph is changed to italic now. See, the same thing we can do with getElementById method as well. It's straightforward, right? Now, the question is, what if we have two elements with the same ID and we want to change the style of both the elements? In jQuery, it doesn't work in that way. So what we'll do here is we'll move to a HTML file and we'll give this paragraph 3 the same ID. So what we'll do is we'll write here ID as P1, save it now, and let's see if the font style for paragraph 3 changes or not on the button click. So on clicking the button over here, you can see the style does not change. It means that jQuery needs the ID to be unique for each element. Fine. So the other alternative to do so is to use the class attribute in place of ID attribute. We'll do the same thing. Instead of using ID as P1, what we'll do is we'll write here class. So let's say the class name is para for paragraph 1, and for paragraph 3 we'll use the same class name. We'll write here para. Now let's try to access both the elements using jQuery selectors. So we'll move to a JavaScript file again and we'll comment this statement, and over here what we'll do is we'll write here $element name. So we have to write here the class name with the dot symbol. Then we'll write here .css and we'll write here font style as italic. Fine. Now save it, click on the button over here and you'll be able to witness the change in the web page. So you can see it's not working. We have done something wrong here. So let's check it out once. We haven't saved the HTML file, I guess. So we'll save the HTML file. We'll save the JavaScript file and we'll click on this click me button. You can see the change in the web page now. Now you can see how we are able to make changes in both the paragraphs at the same time. So this is how we can use jQuery selectors. We have some more selectors in jQuery which we'll be discussing in the following video. So that's all for this video, guys. See you in the next one where we will go through the remaining jQuery selectors. If you liked this video, do give it a thumbs up. If you have any doubts, do let us know in the comments below. Please share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe SimpliCode. Thank you.